This story starts in the Xian State Palace, where a girl named Xiao Yao was happily swinging on a swing. Her cousin, Chung Suend, sat nearby, reading a book. However, Chung Suend seemed upset because his father was away, fighting in a war against Chenrong. He asked his grandmother when his dad would return, but she couldn't give him a clear answer. Suddenly, the sky darkened, and everyone felt that something terrible had happened. Chung Suend's grandmother fainted from the shock. It turned out that Chung Suend's father had died in the war, and this news saddened Chung Suend deeply. Shortly after, Chung Suend's mother arrived and blamed her brother-in-law for not seeking help from her husband, King Xiun, which led to the defeat in the war and her husband's death. She was so furious that she grabbed a knife and fatally stabbed her brother-in-law in a fit of rage. Everyone was shocked by the incident. King Xiun immediately ordered his soldiers to put Chung Suend's mom in a sky prison for a severe punishment. But she didn't want to face it, so she gave the flower from her hair to Chung Suend. She told him to give it to the woman he chooses later. Then she do the unthinkable and entered her husband's coffin. A while later, we saw Chung Suend, still mourning the loss of his mother, holding the flower she had given him. Xiao Yao was by his side, trying to comfort him. Meanwhile, their grandmother had woken up, feeling helpless because she couldn't protect her son and daughter-in-law, which meant that Chung Suend lost both his parents at a young age. The grandmother advised her daughter, who was Xiao Yao's mother, to take care of her two grandchildren, Chung Suend and Xiao Yao. After that, the grandmother coughed up blood and passed away. The next day, Chung Suend was sitting alone, thinking about his life. Suddenly, some boys came and kicked him, making fun of him because he didn't have parents. But then, Xiao Yao arrived and stopped them. She even fought them off to protect Chung Suend. Xiao Yao picked up the injured Chung Suend and assured him that if anyone bothered him again, he should just scream and she would come to his rescue. That night, while they were both asleep, Chung Suend woke up and saw his aunt, who was Xiao Yao's mom, crying. He asked her why she was so sad. Xiao Yao's mom explained that she didn't want to leave them, but she had to lead troops in a war after Chung Suend's dad had passed away. She told Chung Suend that they came from a noble family and had to fight for their country. Then she gave him a special weapon that had belonged to Chung Suend's late mom, hoping that he could protect himself and Xiao Yao. The next day, Xiao Yao looked really sad because she didn't want her mom to leave her. Her mom hugged her tightly and assured her that she'd be back soon. A few days later, Xiao Yao and Chung Suend went to the main palace to see their grandfather, King Xian. Xiao Yao also asked King Xian about her mom's well-being, as she had heard some bad news. King Xian, who was their grandfather, tried to comfort Xiao Yao by telling her that her mother had bravely fought and defeated many enemy soldiers to protect the Xian country. Unfortunately, in the final battle, Xiao Yao's mom lost her life at the hands of the enemy. Hearing this, Xiao Yao was shocked and saddened because her mom had promised to return to her. She left the palace in tears. Later, King Xiun encouraged Chung Suend to follow in the footsteps of his late father and aunt, who were heroes of the Xian country. However, Chung Suend rejected the idea, saying that he didn't want to be like them, leaving their families to fight. He just wanted to be a good person and become the king of Xian. King Xian explained that being a king was even more challenging than being a hero, and decided to send Xiao Yao to Kingzi City to keep her safe. This upset Chung Suend, and he begged King Xian not to send Xiao Yao away, as he had promised to protect her. Unfortunately, King Xian didn't change his mind. A while later, Chung Suend ran into Xiao Yao while she was tending to her favorite cherry blossom tree. Suddenly, guards arrived to take Xiao Yao away to Kingzi City. She reassured Chung Suend not to worry about her, saying that she could take care of herself no matter where she was. She asked him to continue watering her cherry blossom tree and even gave him her beloved foxtail as a keepsake, just in case he missed her. Long story short, Xiao Yao grew up and became a renowned healer in Kingzi City because her medicines were so effective. One day, she encountered a rabbit demon who needed help giving birth, and she assisted in the delivery. Meanwhile, Chung Suend still held onto Xiao Yao's foxtail. He, along with Xiao Yao's younger sister Niang, arrived in Kingxi City to investigate the Chenrong state troops and search for Xiao Yao. He had heard rumors that she had passed away. Once inside the city, Chung Suend spotted a woman with a mark on her forehead just like Xiao Yao's. Excited, he rushed over to her, but upon closer inspection, he realized he had mistaken her for someone else. Meanwhile, Xiao Yao returned to the clinic with a substantial amount of money, surprising her boss, Mr. Mu. She explained that the rabbit demon had given birth to many children, boosting their profits. However, Mr. Mu shared some troubling news. He informed Xiao Yao that someone from outside Kingxi City had rented a shop to the east, and if that person opened a clinic, it could threaten their business. To Xiao Yao's surprise, that person turned out to be Chung Suend, who was busy cleaning and organizing the place. Nang noticed a cherry blossom tree in the shop's yard, mentioning that it was Xiao Yao's favorite tree. Unfortunately, they couldn't see the blossoms because it wasn't winter yet. Hearing this, Chung Suend used his spiritual power to make the cherry blossoms bloom, even though it wasn't the right season. The sight of the cherry blossoms reminded him of Xiao Yao. Chung Suend had been searching everywhere for Xiao Yao, but he hadn't found any trace of her. It had been 300 long years, and he still held onto the hope of finding her, even though she was declared dead. The city of Kingxi was vast, with a diverse population making the search challenging. However, their main mission in coming to the city was on orders from King Xian to investigate the Chenrong country troops who were their country's enemies. The following day, Xiao Yao was by the lake when she spotted a bird in the bushes. She playfully threw a stone at it, but when she approached the bushes, she discovered an injured man. Initially, she hesitated to get involved in someone else's business and left the man behind. However, later, Xiao Yao, along with her companions, Maji and Quanji, stumbled upon the injured man again. They decided to offer him some food, and when the man woke up and reached for the food, Xiao Yao couldn't ignore his suffering any longer. Upon returning to the clinic, Maji informed Xiao Yao that he had found the injured man by the lake. Xiao Yao went back to the lake, picked up the man, and brought him to the clinic for treatment. When they examined the man's injuries, they were shocked to find wounds all over his body. Maji suspected that the man had endured prolonged torture, with many wounds and missing toenails, and even broken leg bones. Xiao Yao asked for a hammer, and as the man faintly opened his eyes, Xiao Yao assured him that he was in the clinic, and they would take care of his injuries. Xiao Yao explained that she would intentionally fracture the man's bones in the wrong place, and if the pain became unbearable, he would allow the man to scream, hitting her 3 times if needed. Surprisingly, the man didn't make a sound or flinch, despite Xiao Yao's forceful actions. Maji suspected that the torture the man had endured previously must have been far more agonizing than the beatings inflicted by Xiao Yao. Afterward, Xiao Yao cleaned and wrapped the man's wounds with bandages and administered some medicine. Unfortunately, the man vomited blood, making Mr. Mu believe that his condition was beyond help, and preparations for a coffin were made. Several days later, the man finally regained consciousness and was able to move. Xiao Yao decided to remove the bandages from his body and suggested he take a shower since he was showing signs of improvement. As the man emerged from the shower and removed the bandage from his face, he introduced himself as Sanjing, a wealthy nobleman. Xiao Yao offered to let him leave the clinic since he had recovered, but Sanjing insisted he had nowhere to go and was willing to stay and work as a servant. Reluctantly, Xiao Yao agreed to his request. Sometime later, Sanjing was seen washing dishes by the lake. Mr. Mu approached him, curious about his true identity, but Sanjing chose not to divulge his dark past. In the evening, Xiao Yao decided to venture into the forest to search for spirit leaves, which were highly valuable for making medicine. Initially, Mr. Mu had forbidden Xiao Yao from going into the forest because it was within the territory of the ruthless General Shangluo and his Chenrong troops. There was a high risk of Xiao Yao getting captured by them. However, Xiao Yao insisted that she would be okay. The next morning, she entered the forest, only to realize that someone was following her. To her surprise, it was Sanjing who had asked to accompany her. Upon reaching the border of the forest, Xiao Yao explained that they were entering Shenrong's territory after crossing the boundary stone. Worried for Sanjing's safety, Xiao Yao prohibited him from going further, emphasizing the danger. Sanjing understood the concern and urged Xiao Yao to be cautious. As they journeyed, Xiao Yao stumbled upon the footprints of the rabbit god. She followed the tracks until led her to a lake. Xiao Yao recalled that the rabbit god was fond of the sound of girls singing, so she sang a tune, and to her amazement, the rabbit god appeared. Xiao Yao, not wanting to disturb the divine creature, politely asked it to leave. Suddenly, a giant white eagle appeared, poised to attack the rabbit god. Xiao Yao intervened to protect the rabbit god, but she was unexpectedly struck on the cheek by a leaf, drawing blood. When she turned to see who had attacked her, she was confronted by General Shangluo, known as the Nine-Headed Snake and one of Shenrong's most formidable generals. Xiao Yao pleaded for forgiveness and explained that she was in the forest to gather medicinal ingredients from the mountain. However, Shangluo's eagle continued to attack the rabbit god, prompting Shangluo to order his soldiers to capture Xiao Yao and bring her to their headquarters. Once there, Shangluo had Xiao Yao bound because he suspected her of being a spy from the Xian state troops. Xiao Yao reiterated that she was just a healer from Qingzi City. Shangluo then removed his mask, revealing his handsome face, which surprised Xiao Yao. Despite this, one of Shangluo's men eventually confirmed Xiao Yao's true identity, proving she was indeed just a healer. However, Shangluo remained skeptical and still wanted to harm Xiao Yao. The following day, Sanjing grew increasingly concerned about Xiao Yao, who hadn't returned. He arrived at the lake where Xiao Yao had been detained, while Shangluo still believed Xiao Yao was a spy from the Xian country. Shangluo even ordered his soldiers to whip Xiao Yao 20 times, causing her serious injuries. Around the same time, Sanjing managed to locate the place where Xiao Yao was being held and infiltrated General Shangluo's army headquarters. Sanjing introduced himself as Xiao Yao's servant, and upon seeing the wound on Xiao Yao's back, he fought against Shangluo's soldiers to help Xiao Yao. Sanjing then used his spirit energy to ease Xiao Yao's pain. Finally, Shangluo realized that both of them were ordinary people and not spies, leading him to release Xiao Yao and allow them to leave. However, Shangluo also suspected that these two were members of the God clan who were concealing their true identities. On the other hand, Sanjing carried the injured Xiao Yao back to Qingzi City. Sanjing didn't want Xiao Yao to face Mr. Mu's scolding for returning injured, so he took Xiao Yao to a cave to treat her injuries first. While Xiao Yao rested, Sanjing went searching for medicinal herbs. Remarkably, he even found the spirit flower that Xiao Yao had been looking for, although he had a close call while retrieving it. When he returned, Sanjing woke up Xiao Yao and presented her with the spirit flower. This brought great joy to Xiao Yao, and she hugged Sanjing tightly. In short, Xiao Yao returned home to the clinic. Mr. Mu and the others, who had been worried about her, were overjoyed and relieved to see her safe and sound. Xiao Yao informed them that she had successfully found the spirit flower and exchanged it for silver coins. Meanwhile, Niang and her servant, Nalong, went to the meat shop. However, Maji's wife, Melu, accidentally bumped into Niang and spilled sheep's blood on Niang's clothes, which made Niang very angry. Melu promised to get Niang new clothes, but Nalong explained that Niang's clothes couldn't be replaced by Melu and Maji. Later, Melu and Maji returned to the clinic and told everyone that Maji had been beaten by someone from outside the city over a minor issue. This angered Xuanzi and Mr. Mu, who wanted to seek revenge, so they went to find Niang. Meanwhile, Xiao Yao treated Maji's injuries and reassured Melu that Maji would be fine. However, Xiao Yao was secretly worried about Mr. Mu and Quanji and decided to follow them. She asked Sanjing to temporarily look after the clinic. When Xiao Yao arrived at the city center, she witnessed Nalong torturing Mr. Mu and Quanji on Niang's orders. Xiao Yao begged Niang for forgiveness and asked Nalong to stop the abuse, but Nang refused and continued to order Nalong to torture the two men. In response, Xiao Yao released poison and transferred it to Nalong's body. Soon, Nalong realized that her spiritual abilities had stopped, and she could no longer harm Mr. Mu and Quanji. Nalong then urged Nang to leave the place immediately. When she returned to the clinic, Xiao Yao was very upset and told Sanjing that she hadn't used his poison to harm anyone in a long time. Sanjing reminded her that they were members of the God Clan with high spiritual energy and shouldn't engage in criminal activities. Sometime later, Nalong, who had been exposed to Xiao Yao's poison, was dying, and even Chung Su-en's personal physician couldn't cure her. Nang intended to attack Xiao Yao, but Chung Su-en stopped her and asked for the truth. Nang and Chung Su-en then went to the clinic to meet Xiao Yao. Chung Su-en introduced himself as Niang's elder brother and asked for an antidote for his poisoned servant. However, Xiao Yao refused to give the antidote and was attacked by Chung Su-en, who didn't know that Xiao Yao had low spiritual energy. Chung Su-en felt guilty and wanted to help, but Xiao Yao chased him away. Later, Sanjing brought food to the injured Xiao Yao. Xiao Yao realized that Sanjing recognized Chung Su-en and Niang and had not helped earlier. Xiao Yao was angry and told Sanjing not to follow her anymore. However, Sanjing continued to follow Xiao Yao to the edge of the lake, where Shangluo arrived on his eagle and took Xiao Yao away. In the evening, Xiao Yao joined Shangluo for grilled fish by the lake. Xiao Yao started to think that Shangluo wasn't as cruel as the people in Kingxi City had said. But then Shangluo leaned closer to Xiao Yao's neck and confessed that he preferred to drink people's blood instead of eating fish. He bit Xiao Yao's neck to suck her blood and then quickly treated the bite wound. Shangluo did this intentionally because he had learned that Xiao Yao's blood had healing properties. Meanwhile, Sanjing was still waiting by the lake and finally saw Xiao Yao getting off Shangluo's eagle. Sanjing noticed the bite marks on Xiao Yao's neck and urged her to go home. At the same time, a soldier from the Xian country was meeting with a spy to gather information about the Chenrong country troops. To their surprise, the spy turned out to be Shangluo, and he admitted to killing the spy. A fight broke out between Shangluo and the soldier. When Shangluo was about to finish off the soldier, he asked who had sent him. Suddenly, reinforcements from the Xian country army arrived in large numbers and attempted to use a spell to capture Shangluo. However, they were still too weak to defeat him. After some time, Shangluo arrived at his base, and his white eagle informed him that Xiao Yao had entered their territory and was searching for him. On the other hand, Xiao Yao was sitting on top of a tree. Shangluo approached and once again sucked Xiao Yao's blood. Strangely, Shangluo felt his strength returning after drinking Xiao Yao's blood. Meanwhile, Sanjing searched for Xiao Yao in her room but couldn't find her. Worried, he used his spiritual energy to locate Xiao Yao. At the same time, Xiao Yao continued to have her blood drained by Shangluo, and her vision started to blur. She scolded Shangluo for taking too much blood. As she was about to descend from the tree while holding onto a branch, Shangluo cut the branch, causing Xiao Yao to fall from the tree. Shangluo then walked away, leaving her behind. Xiao Yao limped back home, cursing Shangluo and promising to beat him to death or poison him if they ever crossed paths again. Finally, Sanjing found the injured Xiao Yao once again. As Sanjing approached, he noticed the bite marks on Xiao Yao's neck. Back at the clinic, Sanjing immediately tended to Xiao Yao's injured leg and removed the bite marks left by Shangluo. The next morning, Xiao Yao met Sanjing by the lake, reminiscing about the incident 6 years ago when she had found Sanjing in the bushes. Xiao Yao expressed her wish for Sanjing to stay with her forever. Soon after, Shangluo returned and asked Xiao Yao to ride on his eagle. However, this time Sanjing intervened and prevented Xiao Yao from going with Shangluo, which offended the general. Tensions escalated as they both brandished their weapons, but Xiao Yao stepped in to separate them. Xiao Yao told Shangluo that Sanjing was her friend and instructed Sanjing to return home and wait at the clinic. Xiao Yao realized that Shangluo was injured from a recent battle, prompting him to offer her neck once more for Shangluo to drink her blood. However, Shangluo simply held Xiao Yao by the neck and instead walked with her on the water. As they were about to return home on the Eagle, Xiao Yao advised Shangluo not to continue aiding the Chenrong country's troops and instead join the Xian country. Xiao Yao explained that King Xian would inevitably defeat the Chenrong country sooner or later. This suggestion angered Shangluo, causing his eyes to turn red. He used his magic energy to restrain Xiao Yao, causing his nose to bleed. Meanwhile, Sanjing continued waiting by the lake until Xiao Yao returned. To their surprise, Shangluo threw Xiao Yao roughly, infuriating Sanjing. Sanjing took Xiao Yao back home and prepared hot soup for her. He explained that drinking the potion would improve Xiao Yao's internal organs. Sanjing advised Xiao Yao to ignore Shangluo and assured her that he would confront the general if he returned. Back at his base, Shangluo found one of his soldiers unconscious. Reports came in that many of his soldiers had been poisoned in recent days and needed an antidote. The following day, Xiao Yao was seen shopping with Manlu. They witnessed a horse-drawn carriage heading towards Mr. Yushin. To their surprise, Mr. Yushin saluted a woman named Jingyi as she disembarked from the carriage. Milu was taken aback because Mr. Yushin, the wealthiest man in Kingxi City, showed great respect to this woman. Xiao Yao sensed that an important guest had arrived in Kingxi City. Upon reaching the clinic, Maji sadly delivered the bad news that Mr. Yushin planned to evict the shops near the lakeside, including their clinic. However, Mr. Miu opposed this decision, having rented the land and worked hard to establish the clinic. Xiao Yao and Sanjing took the initiative to speak with Mr. Yushin in hopes of preventing their clinic from being evicted. Upon meeting him, Xiao Yao pleaded with Mr. Yushin not to evict their clinic and suggested that she rent the land back to Mr. Miu. However, Mr. Yushin explained that he was merely looking after the land on behalf of a noble family. Soon after, a woman named Jingyi arrived and spotted Sanjing. Surprisingly, Jingyi immediately knelt down, addressing Sanjing as young master. This revelation left Xiao Yao astonished. Jingyi explained that she had spent 10 years searching for Sanjing because she refused to believe the reports of his death. Finally, she had found him. Jingyi instructed her servant to send a letter to her mother, informing her that the second young master, Sanjing, had been located. This left Xiao Yao with a bitter smile, and she left Mr. Yushin. Returning to the clinic, Xiao Yao was approached by Mr. Miu and others, eager to hear news about Mr. Yushin. Xiao Yao explained that they could continue renting the place, and no one would dare to disturb their clinic anymore. Mr. Miu and the others believed that Xiao Yao had successfully persuaded Mr. Yushin. They inquired about Sanjing, who had not yet returned home. However, Xiao Yao revealed that Sanjing wouldn't be coming back, as he was now working for Mr. Yushin, bringing them much happiness. Regrettably, Xiao Yao wasn't feeling the same way. She appeared gloomy and had no appetite. Xiao Yao decided to go to the lake's edge, and Sanjing seemed to follow her quietly. Realizing this, Xiao Yao asked why Sanjing was still dressed in shabby and dirty clothes, even though he was a nobleman. The following day, we saw Cheng Suend and Sanjing, both dressed in luxurious attire, at Mr. Stone's place. Coincidentally, Mr. Stone began to speak about Sanjing's family. Shortly after, Xiao Yao also arrived at the scene and was surprised to see Sanjing in noble clothing. Mr. Stone mentioned that Sanjing's family had arranged a marriage for him with a woman of their choice. This left Xiao Yao feeling jealous, and she promptly left. In the evening, Xiao Yao noticed a shooting star in the sky and wanted to share it with Sanjing, who had been by her side. However, she suddenly realized that Sanjing was no longer with her. Xiao Yao started counting the stars and then noticed signs of Shangluo's presence. She pretended to be asleep, but Shangluo had already figured it out and tossed her from her chair. Shangluo inquired about the man who had often been by Xiao Yao's side, and it turned out to be Sanjing. Shangluo explained that Sanjing had poisoned his soldiers, so he came to find Sanjing and request the antidote. Xiao Yao also brought Shangluo to meet Sanjing by the lake. Sanjing agreed to make the antidote for Shangluo at Xiao Yao's request, and mentioned that the antidote's ingredients were in Kingxi City, so he would go there to buy and prepare it himself. After Sanjing left, Xiao Yao was about to leave but was stopped by Shangluo, who insisted that she accompany him. Shangluo told her that she needed to be a hostage until he received the antidote. When they arrived at the headquarters, Xiao Yao was surprised to find a demon like Shangluo living in a place like that. However, Shangluo didn't provide an answer and went to sleep. The next day, Xiao Yao woke up and noticed that Shangluo was no longer in bed. As she left the room, she saw Shangluo training his soldiers. Shortly afterward, the soldiers informed him that another soldier had passed away, and Shangluo held a funeral ceremony. Meanwhile, Mr. Yushin informed Sanjing that someone had purchased the medicines he had requested in his note. Sanjing explained that it's common for nobles to keep medicinal ingredients for emergencies, so he suggested that Mr. Yushin visit other local nobles using his name. This information eventually reached the spies of Chung Su-en's army. The spies then met with Chung Su-en and revealed that Sanjing was gathering medicinal ingredients to heal the poisoned Shenrong troops. They also suspected that Sanjing and Shangluo might be involved in a secret deal. Upon hearing this, Chung Su-en instructed his spies to keep a close watch on Sanjing and investigate the storage of the medicine. Meanwhile, in secret, Xiao Yao decided to use her own blood on medicinal herbs to aid the injured soldier. However, Shangluo discovered this and promptly brought Xiao Yao into his room. Xiao Yao explained that she just wanted to help because her special blood had healing properties. Shangluo, however, stressed that even if Xiao Yao drained all her blood, it wouldn't be enough to heal everyone there, and would only lead to Xiao Yao's own death. Shortly after, they heard Shangluo's eagle announcing that Sanjing had obtained the antidote. They met with Sanjing, who disclosed the location of the medicine and instructed Shangluo to send someone to retrieve it. In the evening, Shangluo arrived at the medicine's location but returned alone. Back in the room, Xiao Yao appeared to be asleep, but suddenly woke up to find Shangluo injured. Xiao Yao immediately offered her neck to allow Shangluo to drink her blood in an attempt to aid his recovery. Afterward, Shangluo explained that he hadn't obtained the antidote because he was attacked when trying to retrieve it. Upon hearing this revelation, Xiao Yao recalled a conversation he had overheard between Chung Su-en and his soldiers. Shangluo reacted by choking Xiao Yao and demanding to know who this person was, as it concerned the lives of thousands. Reluctantly, Xiao Yao confessed that it was Chung Su-en. Shangluo was ready to confront him, but Xiao Yao urged caution, as Chung Su-en had a large army. Instead, Xiao Yao proposed a plan to obtain the medicine, but Shangluo, driven by his emotions, left anyway. Meanwhile, the Xian warrior apologized to Chung Su-en for failing to capture Shangluo, but assured him that he had managed to secure the medicine. In response, Chung Su-en asserted that Shangluo would not remain passive. Soon after, the sound of Shangluo's eagle signaled his arrival at Chung Su-en's residence, leading to a fierce confrontation between the two. Eventually, Chung Su-en's troops arrived, forcing Shangluo to retreat. The following day, Chung Su-en learned that Xiao Yao had kidnapped Niang in an attempt to obtain the antidote. Furious at the situation, he was determined not to lose his older cousin again. Chung Su-en and his troops located Niang and Xiao Yao and attacked Xiao Yao using his spiritual energy. He then ordered his soldiers to bring Xiao Yao to his place. Niang then confessed to Chung Su-en that she had been exposed to a deadly poison from Xiao Yao. Regrettably, Xiao Yao refused to provide the antidote. Upon hearing this, Chung Su-en ordered his men to find an experienced executioner to torture Xiao Yao to death. Shortly afterward, Xiao Yao began to endure torture from the executioners. They covered her hands with corpse oil and placed them in a box filled with maggots that would feed on her flesh. To intensify her suffering, they turned off the lights. As time passed, Xiao Yao writhed in pain, while Niang lay on her bed, pleading with Chung Su-en not to leave her. Memories of their childhood together flooded Chung Su-en's mind. During this ordeal, a light egg appeared and entered Chung Su-en's body. Meanwhile, in their prison cell, the two executioners were astonished to find Xiao Yao still alive and relatively unharmed. They suspected she was no ordinary person to endure such torment. Before long, someone burst into the torture chamber, attacking and incapacitating the two executioners. It was Sanjing who had come to rescue Xiao Yao. He carried her to his home to tend to her wounds. After some time, Xiao Yao regained consciousness and tried to make light of her injuries, claiming to be fine. She also revealed that Niang hadn't actually been poisoned, and she had secretly planted a light egg in Cheng Suen's body. However, Sanjing didn't seem to grasp the situation, so Xiao Yao explained that she had implanted a light egg in Cheng Suen's body. This meant that if Xiao Yao felt pain, Cheng Suen would also feel it. The next morning, as Niang and Cheng Suen were getting ready for breakfast, Niang looked displeased because Xiao Yao had been rescued. She then commanded Cheng Suen to kill Xiao Yao. However, suddenly, Cheng Suen experienced intense pain in his hand. It was the light egg in his body beginning to take effect. Cheng Suen suspected that Xiao Yao had poisoned him and wanted to go after her. Still, Miang stopped him, as it was too dangerous to go alone. Miang suggested that Cheng Suen take some painkillers, but to his surprise, the pain vanished on its own. Before long, one of his soldiers arrived with news that they had located Shangluo's troops and were preparing to attack them. On the other hand, Xiao Yao sensed that Cheng Suen was approaching, as her heartbeat quickened. She informed Shangluo, who was outside at the time. Shangluo already knew about it and indeed wanted to kill Cheng Suen. He believed that if he didn't do it now, Cheng Suen would attempt to kill him in the future. In short, two armies from different countries faced each other, leading to a battle. Initially, their confrontation was evenly matched, but things took a turn when Xiao Yao accidentally injured her own hands and feet against a rock. This caused Cheng Suen to feel the same pain. During this clash, Shangluo launched a fierce attack on Cheng Suen, causing Cheng Suen's foxtail to fall right in front of Xiao Yao. It was then that she realized the object belonged to her and was a gift she had given to her cousin, Cheng Suen. She recognized him, the person she had been waiting for. On the other hand, Cheng Suen found himself overwhelmed by Shangluo, who eventually tied him up and prepared to deliver a fatal blow with his extended nails. Just as Shangluo was about to strike, Xiao Yao intervened and saved Cheng Suen by taking the blow herself. She returned the fox's tail and urged Cheng Suen to flee. Xiao Yao then blocked Shangluo, who was attempting to chase after Cheng Suen. Shangluo grew furious and strangled Xiao Yao, who reminisced about her childhood. Later, Cheng Suen managed to return home despite his injuries and inquired about the poison in his body. The healer clarified that it wasn't poison, but rather a light egg that could harm opponents from a distance. If the user experienced pain, the target would feel the same pain. Only the user, which was Xiao Yao herself, could release this light egg. Consequently, Cheng Suen intended to find Xiao Yao and have the light egg removed from his body. Meanwhile, Shangluo took Xiao Yao to a pond and soaked her body. He then used a blue crystal to channel his spiritual energy into Xiao Yao's injuries. Eventually, Xiao Yao woke up, and Shangluo asked why she had saved Cheng Suen. Xiao Yao explained that she knew Cheng Suen's true identity as the grandson of King Xiun. If she had helped kill him, King Xiun would surely seek revenge, making her life anything but peaceful. In anger, Shangluo immediately strangled Xiao Yao and sucked her blood once more. At the same time, Cheng Suen, who was asleep, suddenly awoke, feeling pain in his neck. He suspected that the injured Xiao Yao still intended to harm him. On the other hand, Sanjing used his spiritual energy to locate Xiao Yao and eventually found her, taking her to his residence. Over time, Sanjing continued to care for the ailing Xiao Yao. However, while Xiao Yao held Sanjing's hand, she kept calling out Shangluo's name, which annoyed Sanjing a bit, considering that Shangluo had injured him. A few days later, Xiao Yao regained consciousness. When she opened her bedroom window, she saw Sanjing and realized that he had been taking care of her all along. Upon seeing Xiao Yao awake, Sanjing hugged her. Xiao Yao expressed her gratitude to Sanjing for helping and taking care of her, and then said goodbye as she prepared to return home. The next day, Xiao Yao returned to her work as a healer. To her surprise, Cheng Suen came to her clinic and expressed gratitude for saving him. Xiao Yao chose not to reveal that she was Chung Su-en's long-lost older cousin whom he had been searching for. She explained that if Chung Su-en were to die, it would also mean her death, as there was a light egg in his body. Chung Su-en inquired about when she would release the light egg from his body. Xiao Yao assured him that the light egg was not harmful as long as she remained uninjured, and Chung Su-en wouldn't feel any pain. As a gesture of friendship, Chung Su-en invited Xiao Yao to visit his tavern the following day. The next day, Xiao Yao went to Chung Su-en's tavern and introduced herself as a renowned healer from Kingxi City. She shared her knowledge about identifying and detecting various types of poisons. Chung Su-en introduced himself as the grandson of King Xian and revealed that he had come to the city to investigate the Chenrong country's troops, who were enemies of the Xian country. He then showed Xiao Yao a foxtail fur and explained that it had belonged to his older cousin, also named Xiao Yao, who had disappeared 300 years ago. He had only heard rumors of his cousin's death since then. Despite this, Chung Su-en held onto the hope that his older cousin might still be alive. Xiao Yao couldn't hold back her tears upon realizing that the person Chung Su-en had been searching for was right in front of him. In the evening, at Chung Su-en's tavern, a group of troops appeared with intentions to attack. In response, Chung Su-en ordered his soldiers to keep Niang in her room, preventing her from leaving. Unexpectedly, a woman riding a horse descended from the sky and shot an arrow straight into Chung Su-en's chest. This woman turned out to be Fang-er, who was to be Sanjing's future wife. Fang-er reported her successful mission to her master, Shangluo. Chung Su-en experienced immense pain after being hit by the arrow. Blood continued to flow from the wound on his chest, despite receiving medication to clot it. By morning, Chung Su-en's condition had worsened, with the bleeding persisting, even though the arrow hadn't struck any vital organs. Chung Su-en suspected that the person who shot him was from the Fang family. As a result, he instructed Niang to seek out Xiao Yao. Shortly after, Xiao Yao was preparing to rest when Niang burst into the room, revealing that Chung Su-en was in critical condition. She explained that he had been attacked by mysterious troops the previous night and was on the brink of death. Concerned, Xiao Yao rushed to see Chung Su-en's condition. After examining the wound, Xiao Yao reassured Chung Su-en that the arrow hadn't hit any vital organs. She then inspected the arrow and confirmed that it was just a regular one. Xiao Yao asked Chung Su-en to describe his initial sensations when the arrow struck his chest, and Chung Su-en explained that he had felt a coldness throughout his body and difficulty breathing. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yao considered that Chung Su-en had been struck by ice crystals from the arrow attack, and the only possible cure was these very ice crystals. Thus, Xiao Yao decided to seek out Sanjing, as these ice crystals were exclusive to Fang-er's family, who happened to be Sanjing's future wife. When Xiao Yao reached Fang-er's family home, she was warmly greeted by Fang-er herself. Grateful for Xiao Yao's previous help in finding and healing her future husband, Sanjing, Fang-er readily agreed to introduce him to Sanjing. Xiao Yao explained her purpose, to request the ice crystals unique to Fang-er's family. Sanjing, upon hearing the request, gladly agreed. This convinced Xiao Yao that Sanjing was not the one behind the attack on Chung Su-en. She intended to investigate the identity of the mysterious assailant. Upon returning, Xiao Yao promptly inserted the ice crystal into Chung Su-en's wound. Gradually, the bleeding from Chung Su-en's wound stopped. Following this, Chung Su-en instructed Niang and his troops to prepare for a journey to the Mountain of the Five Gods for his recovery. He also invited Xiao Yao to join them, believing that Xiao Yao's healing skills would thrive in that environment. However, Xiao Yao declined the offer, citing her strong bonds and supportive friends in Kingxi City. Sometime later, Chung Su-en and the others embarked on their journey to the Mountain of the Five Gods. Xiao Yao wished Chung Su-en success in achieving his goals. One of Xian's soldiers questioned why Chung Su-en let Xiao Yao go, despite Xiao Yao not having released the light egg from his body. Chung Su-en explained that Xiao Yao would release the light egg once the wound had healed. He didn't care about Xiao Yao's intentions, but appreciated that Xiao Yao had saved him twice. Meanwhile, by the lakeside, Xiao Yao was deep in thought when Shangluo approached and inquired about her musings. Xiao Yao expressed her desire to remove the light egg from Cheng Suen's body, but admitted she didn't know how. Hearing this, Shangluo offered to help, surprising Xiao Yao. Shangluo was willing to transfer the light egg into his own body. He knew that the light egg could not only harm its target, but also serve as a bond of love. Shangluo did this deliberately, wanting to be with Xiao Yao forever. In no time, Shangluo and Xiao Yao reached the sea area near the Five Gods Mountain, as it was the closest location to Cheng Suen, who was currently on the mountain. Shangluo and Xiao Yao initiated the process of transferring the light egg into Shangluo's body. Meanwhile, on the Five Gods Mountain, Cheng Suen suddenly vomited blood and informed his soldiers that the light egg inside him had been removed by Xiao Yao. Sometime later, Cheng Suen met his master, King Holing, and informed him that the light egg had been expelled from his body. He also spoke highly of Xiao Yao, a skilled and talented healer who had saved him twice. Intrigued by Xiao Yao, King Holing expressed his desire to meet her and instructed Cheng Suen to bring Xiao Yao to him. A while later, Xiao Yao was relaxing outside her clinic when Cheng Suen suddenly appeared. Cheng Suen revealed his mission to bring Xiao Yao to the Mountain of the Five Gods, as King Holing wanted to meet her and have her stay there. Xiao Yao initially declined the request, but Cheng Suen explained that King Holing was a powerful figure in the Five Gods Mountain area, and refusing the king's orders was not an option. Xiao Yao requested some time to pack her belongings and bid farewell to her family and friends. Xiao Yao then handed over the clinic duties to Mei Lu and informed Mr. Mu and others. As she walked through Kingzi City, she received greetings from everyone she encountered. Xiao Yao responded with a smile, knowing that this was her last day in the city. She eventually reached Sanjing's residence and discussed her situation with Sanjing. Xiao Yao explained that Cheng Suen planned to take her to the Mountain of the Five Gods to meet King Holing. She asked for Sanjing's help to leave Kingzi City and avoid Cheng Suen. Sanjing agreed to assist Xiao Yao and revealed a secret door in Fanger's family house for their escape. Meanwhile, Xian soldiers reported to Cheng Suen that Xiao Yao was no longer at Fanger's residence. Cheng Suen ordered all of his troops to surround Kingzi City in search of Xiao Yao, who had managed to escape. Finally, in the evening, Xiao Yao and Sanjing successfully left Kingzi City behind. Xiao Yao expressed concern that Sanjing's actions could jeopardize his own family because he had helped someone who defied King Holing's orders. However, Sanjing assured Xiao Yao that he had no regrets because Xiao Yao had previously assisted him. Sanjing then shared a personal story about his betrayal by his elder brother, Ranjing. He recounted a time when Ranjing was injured while trying to help Sanjing. A shard of roof tile had struck Ranjing's head, causing him to bleed. Despite Ranjing's injury, their mother only paid attention to Sanjing. Sanjing couldn't initially understand why his mother ignored Ranjing and didn't show any concern for his brother. When they grew up, Ranjing wanted to care for their sick mother. However, their mother became angry with Ranjing and compared him unfavorably to Sanjing. This hurt Ranjing deeply, and when their mother eventually passed away, Ranjing felt devastated. It wasn't because he had lost his mother, but because he had never received her recognition as her child. Their grandmother, knowing Ranjing's pain, revealed the painful truth that Ranjing was not their mother's biological child. This revelation filled Ranjing with hatred for Sanjing. Ranjing took Sanjing somewhere, and Sanjing didn't suspect anything, following his brother until they reached a dark prison. There, Ranjing tied up and tortured Sanjing. Hearing this sad story, Xiao Yao held Sanjing's hand and comforted him. The next day, Sanjing realized that Fanger's family had been captured by Cheng Suen's troops. He decided to return, instructing Xiao Yao to keep running. Despite her fears, Xiao Yao continued to run without a clear destination, worried about Sanjing enduring more torment. Eventually, she couldn't bear it any longer and decided to go back to rescue Sanjing, even if it meant surrendering to Cheng Suen. In the end, she met Cheng Suen and agreed to meet King Holing on the condition that Sanjing would be released. Unfortunately, Chung Suend no longer trusted Xiao Yao, and he ordered his men to break her legs. Simultaneously, Shangluo shared the same sentiment and began searching for Xiao Yao. While on the train, Xiao Yao spotted a seriously injured and unconscious Sanjing. Without hesitation, Xiao Yao used her own blood to treat Sanjing. After a while, Sanjing woke up and was curious about how Xiao Yao managed to heal him. Xiao Yao explained that she used his blood, which had healing properties. Sanjing then realized the reason behind the bite marks on Xiao Yao's neck. He knew that Shangluo had deliberately drunk Xiao Yao's blood to heal himself. In short, they both ended up in the Dragon Bone prison. Sanjing expressed his desire to always be with Xiao Yao, because she brought happiness to his life. He also revealed that his supposed love for Fang was forced upon him through an arranged marriage between their families. Sanjing planned to cancel the marriage and asked Xiao Yao to wait for him. Later, Shangluo arrived at the Dragon Bone prison and attempted to break down the boundary wall to rescue Xiao Yao. Meanwhile, Chung Suend and his guards also arrived, intending to free Xiao Yao and Sanjing. Xiao Yao noticed Shangluo's arrival and his willingness to help, but didn't want to leave Sanjing behind. She urged Shangluo to leave without her, not wanting to survive alone, while Sanjing remained captured and in danger. They finally arrived at the Cheng and Royal Palace. As they entered, Xiao Yao was flooded with memories of her childhood, playing in the palace yard with her mother. Chung Suend guided Xiao Yao and Sanjing to a small palace where they would stay temporarily. He reminded Xiao Yao that King Holing would summon her soon and advised her to take a shower and rest. Later, when summoned to King Holing's presence, Xiao Yao was accompanied by Sanjing, who carried her due to her injured leg. Sanjing informed the king about Xiao Yao's injury, which prevented her from paying her respects. However, as soon as King Holing saw Xiao Yao, he realized that she was his daughter. He warmly invited her to dine with him, which left Chung Suend astonished. During the meal, King Holing inquired about Xiao Yao's favorite food, to which she replied that she loved green beans. This answer triggered a childhood memory for Xiao Yao, as she recalled sharing green beans with Chung Suend when they were young. After the meal, Chung Suend couldn't contain his curiosity and asked King Holing about the true identity of the woman, considering green beans were Xiao Yao's favorite food. Chung Suend couldn't contain his curiosity about the woman's true identity and asked if she was indeed his older cousin, Xiao Yao. However, King Holing cryptically replied that one day Chung Suend would discover the truth. This response only fueled Chung Suend's curiosity, especially as he recalled the times when Xiao Yao had helped him, strengthening his belief that the woman was indeed his cousin. The following day, Chung Suend approached Xiao Yao and tended to the wound on her leg. He entrusted Sanjing with taking care of Xiao Yao. In the evening, Chung Suend held the fox tail fur that Xiao Yao had given him, feeling regretful for not picking her up at Mount Yo. It was then revealed that Xiao Yao was actually intended to be taken to Mount Yo, not to Kingzi City as she had originally thought. The next day, Xiao Yao and Sanjing were in the palace garden. When Xiao Yao saw a pond reminiscent of her childhood memories with her mother, she shared a nostalgic story. Sanjing kindly fetched some fruit for her. However, their peaceful moment was interrupted by the arrival of Niang, who insulted Xiao Yao, called her a commoner, and ordered her servant, Nalung, to seize Xiao Yao and take her to her room. Niang's cruel treatment escalated as she had her servants physically harm Xiao Yao and silenced her. Meanwhile, Sanjing returned and noticed Xiao Yao's absence. He soon heard the sounds of Xiao Yao being tortured by Niang and attempted to enter Niang's residence, leading to a confrontation with the guards. Meanwhile, Niang's mother arrived and intervened, instructing Niang to cease her actions. Upon seeing Niang's mother, Xiao Yao was taken aback, thinking that her own mother was still alive. She was overwhelmed with emotion and immediately recalled her own mother. Tears welled up in Xiao Yao's eyes as she longed to embrace Niang's mother, wondering why she had been abandoned and isolated for so long. However, Xiao Yao's mouth was muffled with a cloth, making her voice incomprehensible and causing fear in Niang and her mother. Shortly after, Chung Suend and King Holing arrived at the scene. Chung Suend promptly informed Xiao Yao that the woman was not her mother. Nevertheless, Xiao Yao seemed undeterred and continued to refer to Niang's mother as her mom. Chung Suend removed the cloth from Xiao Yao's mouth and tried to make her understand that the woman she believed to be her mother had passed away in battle. The woman she called Mom was Empress Shangluo, the second wife of King Holing and Niang's mother. Learning the truth, Xiao Yao continued to sob, believing her mother had rejected her. Chung Suend embraced her to provide comfort. Meanwhile, Niang, curious about the situation and witnessing Chung Suend's genuine concern for Xiao Yao, wanted to inquire about Xiao Yao's true identity. However, Nalong prevented Niang from doing so, as it was King Holing's directive. Sometime later, Xiao Yao received care from King Holing. Afterwards, King Holing displayed his spiritual energy in the form of an animal, triggering memories of Xiao Yao's childhood. Xiao Yao couldn't help but wonder if her father had abandoned her because he never came to get her. She asked King Holing if he still acknowledged her, to which he confirmed that he was indeed her father and would always be there for her. Touched by this revelation, Xiao Yao embraced him warmly. In the evening, Xiao Yao, Sanjing, and Chung Suend were seen sharing drinks together. Chung Suend expressed a desire to hear Xiao Yao's journey from Mount Yao to Kingxi City, even though Xiao Yao was hesitant to recount her sorrowful tale. Despite her reluctance, Chung Suend insisted. Eventually, Xiao Yao shared her story. During her journey to Mount Yao, two of King Holing's servants had cruelly labeled her as an abandoned princess, which had deeply saddened her, prompting her to run away. Moreover, Xiao Yao couldn't bring herself to believe that her mother was truly gone. She had ventured to Jingsu City, where her mother had fought, only to find a missing persons announcement with a description of her, highlighting a peach mark on her forehead as her birthmark. Even though Xiao Yao had disguised herself as a beggar, a demon had sensed her presence and chased her. Desperately, she had blended in with a group of beggar children, hoping her face would change somehow. To her surprise, her face transformed, preventing the demon from recognizing her as the princess. Over time, she had learned to control her ability to change her appearance, using it as a means of survival and anonymity, ultimately losing her original face. Despite multiple attempts to revert to her true appearance, she had been unable to find it again. This explained why Chung Suend hadn't recognized her when they first met in Kingxi City, even though she hadn't changed her name. Sometime later, Xiao Yao had an encounter with the nine-tailed fox demon, who possessed the ability to change faces just like her. They engaged in a competition to see who could change their appearance the most. Eventually, the demon gave Xiao Yao a mirror that could help her find her true face. However, this turned out to be a trap, as the demon was actually an enemy of her mother who had severed her tail. Seeking revenge, the fox demon imprisoned Xiao Yao and subjected her to daily torture. Moreover, the demon gave her a strange drink that weakened her spiritual energy. When the demon attempted to eat her, Xiao Yao secretly poisoned the drink, causing the demon to die instantly. After hearing Xiao Yao's story, Chung Suend realized that the fox tail he had kept was a piece of the fox demon's tail. He promptly discarded the object and left in anger. Xiao Yao then instructed Sanjing to hold onto the item until Chung Suend's anger subsided. The next day, Chung Suend informed King Holing about the situation. Shortly thereafter, King Holing met with Xiao Yao, and a birthmark appeared on her forehead. He explained that her ability to change faces wasn't due to any illness, but was instead tied to a rare heirloom inside her body that allowed her to change her appearance at will. Xiao Yao asked her father to remove the heirloom to restore her original face, but King Holing couldn't do it at the moment. However, he promised to help her regain her true face someday. Xiao Yao shared this revelation with Sanjing, who responded with a smile, surprising her. When she asked him what if she ended up being ugly, Sanjing assured her that it wouldn't matter to him, as there would be no competition for her affections. Shortly after, Sanjing informed Xiao Yao that he would be leaving Chang'an Palace to address his issues related to his engagement with Feng'er. He asked Xiao Yao to wait for him and not let other men into her heart. Xiao Yao promised to wait for him. Meanwhile, Chung Su-end met with King Holing to express his desire to return to the Xian country. Initially, King Holing was reluctant, as Chung Su-end's strength hadn't fully stabilized yet. However, Chung Su-end persisted, eventually convincing King Holing to allow his return. Chung Su-end later met with Xiao Yao and informed her of his decision to return to the Xian country. Xiao Yao smiled and wasn't worried because she believed that Chung Su-end would eventually come back to Chang'an Palace. Chung Su-end asked if she had any desire to return to the Xian country, to which Xiao Yao replied that she missed the swing on the cherry blossom tree at Chang'an State Palace, which reminded her of their childhood together. She also expressed her desire to become the princess of Chang'an, hoping for a fun and respectful life. The following day, Xiao Yao asked her father for permission to become Chang'an's princess. King Holing questioned her decision and advised her to visit Mount Yo, as he had sent a letter to Mr. Mu regarding her situation. This news made Xiao Yao very happy, and Chung Su-end offered to accompany her to Mount Yo. Meanwhile, Sanji met with Fang Er and decided to call off their wedding. He explained that their marriage had been arranged for political reasons and that there were no genuine feelings between them. On the other hand, Chung Su-end and Niang accompanied Xiao Yao back to Mount Yo. They disguised themselves as commoners to avoid drawing attention when they reached the town. However, Chung Su-end's senior, Ruho, warned him about the haughty nobles in the city and advised him to steer clear of them. Xiao Yao then mentioned Jingzui Lake, a beautiful tourist spot in China's Central Plains, and Chung Su-end decided to take Xiao Yao and Niang there. Before long, they found themselves on a boat, and Xiao Yao cooked grilled fish for them. Initially, Niang hesitated to eat because the food appeared unclean, but her hunger got the better of her, and she tried it. To her surprise, she found Xiao Yao's dishes incredibly delicious. When Niang asked Xiao Yao where she had learned to cook, Xiao Yao explained that she had often been hungry in the past, so she taught herself how to prepare various dishes. Chung Su-end, upon hearing this, fell into deep thought. When Xiao Yao decided to cook shrimp, Chung Su-end insisted on taking over the cooking duties, declaring that Xiao Yao need not cook anymore, as he would prepare meals for both her and Niang. Before long, they were enchanted by the sound of a beautiful harp playing. Chung Su-end grabbed his flute and joined in, playing harmoniously with the zither's melody. Fang Er was especially impressed by Chung Su-end's flute skills, as he seamlessly accompanied Sin Hyo's lute. Fang Er asked the ship's captain to turn around to see who was playing the flute. However, when they got closer, Xiao Yao quickly informed Chung Su-end that the woman in red was none other than Fang Er, the person who had previously injured him. Learning this, Chung Su-end became furious at the sight of her. A fierce fight broke out between Chung Su-end and Fang Er, with Chung Su-end having to protect Xiao Yao and Niang. Fang Er's relentless attacks eventually caused them to fall into the lake, separating from each other. Xiao Yao helped Niang and brought her to the lake's edge, instructing her to stay put while she searched for Chung Su-end and Nelon. After some time, Xiao Yao found Nelon, and the three of them decided to return to the inn without Chung Su-end. Meanwhile, Chung Su-end regained consciousness in the residence of Chenrong country. Sin Hyo had saved him after he was wounded by Fang Er's weapon. Sin Hyo sneaked into his room, and Chung Su-end pretended to be asleep. Sin Hyo's servants informed him that Fang Er's attack had hit Chung Su-end's chest, but not his vital organs. Sin Hyo, suspecting that Chung Su-end was awake, asked him about the flute, hoping she hadn't mistaken him for someone else. Chung Su-end opened his eyes and inquired about his location. Sin Hyo revealed that they were at the Shenrong state residence and explained that both she and Fang Er had saved him. She had even arranged for a healer to treat his wounds. Chung Su-end felt deeply grateful and introduced himself as being from the Dragon Division, concealing his true identity. Chung Su-end decided to bid farewell and return home, worried that his family might be concerned about his absence. However, Sin Hyo insisted that he stay a bit longer, since his wound had not fully healed, and advised him to rest. Meanwhile, Fang Er appeared visibly upset that Chung Su-end was still alive. Her maid suggested getting rid of Chung Su-end once Sin Hyo left the room, but Fang Er declined the offer, considering they were in Shenrong territory. She entered the room and apologized to Chung Su-end for the accidental injury caused by her weapon. The following day, Chung Su-end met Sin Hyo and played a tune on his flute. Sin Hyo expressed her gratitude and invited him for a walk. However, Chung Su-end declined, stating he needed to take his medicine in his room. As he left, Sin Hyo's maid commented on how Chung Su-end's demeanor and talents seemed quite exceptional for a commoner. Sin Hyo, however, avoided the topic and emphasized that Chung Su-end was just an ordinary person from the Dragon Division and not suited to be alongside a princess like herself. Meanwhile, Ruho had already discovered Chung Su-end's whereabouts in Shenrong country. He reassured Niang not to worry, suggesting that Chung Su-end might have a secret mission. On the other hand, Xiao Yao was in the city, trying to relax while concealing her face. By chance, she spotted Sanjing enjoying coffee in a cafe with someone. Surprisingly, Sanjing was right behind her. Upon meeting Sanjing, Xiao Yao also encountered Chung Su-end at the Cheng Country rest stop. Chung Su-end informed Xiao Yao that he was heading back to the inn. He also revealed that upon entering Shenrong territory, he had dispatched spies to investigate Fang-er. Chung Su-end suspected that Fang-er might have been ordered by someone to assassinate him. On the other hand, Sanjing arrived at Shenrong's residence and met his friend named Feng Long. Sanjing wanted to use Feng Long's place to host a banquet for his friends who were in the city. Surprisingly, Feng Long happened to be Sin Hyo's older brother. Sanjing also mentioned that he wanted to introduce his friend to Feng Long, and Feng Long agreed, instructing Sin Hyo to prepare the banquet. Following that, Sanjing instructed a servant to deliver an invitation to King Holing's rest stop. Shortly after, the servant arrived and handed the invitation from Sanjing to Chung Su-end. Xiao Yao suspected it was an invitation from Sin Hyo, but Chung Su-end clarified that it was indeed from the Qingrong residence, with Sanjing as the inviter. Initially, Chung Su-end contemplated declining the invitation since they needed to head to Mount Yo promptly. However, Xiao Yao convinced him to attend. In summary, Chung Su-end and Xiao Yao arrived at Shenrong's residence and were warmly welcomed by Sanjing, Feng Long, and Sin Hyo. Sin Hyo was taken aback to discover that Sanjing's friend was none other than Chung Su-end. She shared her encounter with Chung Su-end with Feng Long. Surprisingly, Fang-er also joined the banquet, and Sin Hyo arranged a chair for her next to Sanjing. Sin Hyo even commented on their compatibility, causing Sanjing to stand up. However, Fang-er signaled him not to disrupt the atmosphere by grabbing his clothes. However, Xiao Yao started feeling jealous and used the excuse of needing to change clothes to leave the gathering. Chung Su-end intended to follow her, but Xiao Yao gently held onto his shoulders, indicating that he should stay out of respect for Feng Long and Sin Hyo. Eventually, Chung Su-end pointed out that Xiao Yao couldn't consume wine, and he invited everyone to continue their meal. Xiao Yao walked to the lakeside and spotted a small boat. She called out to the boat to approach, only to discover that the person on board was Shangluo. As the boat drew nearer, Xiao Yao climbed aboard to express gratitude to Shangluo for helping her during their time in the Dragonbone prison. However, when she began to explain why she had sent Shangluo away back then, she was shocked as Shangluo transformed into a woman. After some time, Xiao Yao returned to the inn, finding that Chung Su-end had already gone home. He informed her that they would continue their journey to Mount Yo the following day and encouraged her to rest since it was already evening. In short, Xiao Yao and Chung Su-end had reached Mount Yo, a place Xiao Yao had left hundreds of years ago. Surprisingly, everything looked just as it did when Xiao Yao first arrived there. Soon after their arrival, they met Wang Mu, the guardian goddess of Mount Yo. Wang Mu promised to help Xiao Yao regain her spiritual power and original appearance. However, she made it clear that she couldn't remove the inherited item inside Xiao Yao's body. She could only restore her original face. Curious, Xiao Yao asked why Wang Mu couldn't retrieve the heirloom, especially since it belonged to Mount Yo. Wang Mu explained that it would involve a lot of complicated processes to retrieve it. She then instructed Xiao Yao to enter a pool to begin the process of regaining her original face. However, despite performing several rituals, Wang Mu couldn't retrieve the heirloom. She couldn't even fully restore Xiao Yao's spiritual power, managing only to bring back Xiao Yao's original face. Skipping ahead, they returned to Holing Palace from the Mountain of the Five Gods. When they arrived, Xiao Yao felt shy and hid behind Cheng Suend in front of her father. King Holing approached her, took her hand, and Xiao Yao blushed with embarrassment at her restored face. Sometime later, Mang waited for her father and Cheng Suend because they hadn't returned yet. When they finally arrived with Xiao Yao, Niang was puzzled because she didn't recognize her. King Holing explained that the woman was his eldest daughter, Xiao Yao, surprising Niang, who had believed Xiao Yao was dead. This revelation made Niang feel challenged by Xiao Yao. Sometime later in the city of Qingxi, Mr. Stone reported about King Holing, who had invited his extended family to celebrate the return of First Princess Xiao Yao. This event showed King Holing's deep love for her. However, Shangluo, upon hearing this news, felt annoyed because Xiao Yao had broken her promise to stay with him. Now she was back to being a princess. The following day marked the ceremony to inaugurate Xiao Yao as a princess. All of King Holing's extended family had gathered at the palace to witness the return of First Princess Xiao Yao. As Xiao Yao entered the palace, her beauty left everyone in awe. After the ceremony, she turned around to acknowledge the invited guests. Unbeknownst to her, Shangluo was also present. Following the ceremony, Niang was seen sitting alone by the sea. Shortly after, Shangluo approached Niang, who asked why he was there. Shangluo explained that he was merely joining the discussions about the first princess to be part of the event. He went on to provoke Niang by suggesting that her father and Cheng Suend had neglected her because of Xiao Yao's return. Shangluo then asked Niang if she wanted revenge. As Niang was about to respond, Shangluo immediately hypnotized her to harm Xiao Yao without causing fatal harm. Sometime later, Cheng Suend met Xiao Yao and informed him that Sanjing wanted to meet her in the Dragonbone prison. Xiao Yao agreed and began to walk alone toward the prison. However, on her way, Niang intercepted her and urged her to follow her to the edge of a cliff. Unexpectedly, Niang suddenly pushed Xiao Yao, causing her to fall. Meanwhile, Sanjing had been waiting for Xiao Yao for a long time. He started to believe that the changed Xiao Yao no longer wanted to see him, which made Sanjing cry. Down in the sea, Xiao Yao was rescued by Shangluo. However, Shangluo immediately expressed his anger and disappointment, accusing Xiao Yao of breaking their promise. Shangluo believed that Xiao Yao should not become the princess of Holing because she had promised to always stay with him. After scolding Xiao Yao, Shangluo left her at the bottom of the ravine, telling her to swim if she wanted to go home. On the other hand, Sanjing had lost hope, thinking that Xiao Yao didn't want to see him again. However, he spotted Xiao Yao out in the sea, unconscious. Sanjing swam to her and brought her back to the shore. When Shangluo saw them, he experienced intense pain. It turned out that the light egg not only harmed his body, but also hurt his heart. Shangluo felt heartbroken seeing the woman he loved with another man. After waking up, Xiao Yao apologized for being late to their meeting, explaining that she had been trapped by Shangluo and had to swim through the sea to reach Sanjing. Hearing this, Sanjing quickly took hold of Xiao Yao's hand and assured her that he would not marry Feng'er. In short, back at the Holing Palace, Xiao Yao encountered Cheng Suend, who was feeling down because he missed his mother's grave in Xian country. Cheng Suend invited Xiao Yao to return to Xian country. The news of King Holing's first daughter coming to commemorate her mother's death had reached King Xian. He immediately ordered his officials to prepare for the arrival of his beloved granddaughter. When Xiao Yao and Cheng Suend arrived in Xian country, they were stopped by Cheng Suend's uncles and the guards. They claimed that King Xian allowed only Xiao Yao to enter the palace. Xiao Yao, feeling angry, threatened to return to Holing Palace. Faced with this threat, Cheng Suend's uncles ordered their soldiers to let both of them in. As they entered the palace, memories of their childhood flooded back, and they paid their respects to King Xiun, their grandfather. To put it briefly, Xiao Yao and Cheng Suend found themselves under a cherry blossom tree, where they used to play as children. This brought back memories of their childhood in the palace. Xiao Yao felt a bit sad because the swing was missing, but Chung Suend cheered her up by catching a cherry blossom leaf, reminding her that the tree was still there. This gesture moved Xiao Yao to tears. The following day, Xiao Yao returned to the cherry blossom tree and was surprised to find a swing hanging from its branches. The palace servant informed her that Chung Suend had stayed up late to make the swing. In the evening, Xiao Yao and Chung Suend strolled around the city of Xi'an. To Xiao Yao's surprise, they encountered Yu Zhang from the Yu clan in the city. Xiao Yao felt suspicious and looked up at the sky. Suddenly, warriors from the Fang clan appeared, intent on attacking Chung Suend. A fierce battle ensued between Chung Suend and Yu Zhang, but Chung Suend was outnumbered and called upon his soldiers. Yu Zhang, however, created a barrier to keep Chung Suend's soldiers at bay. Yu Zhang then revealed his reason for coming to Xi'an, to avenge his elder brother's death at the hands of Chung Suend. When Xiao Yao learned of this, she threatened Yu Zhang by revealing her identity as the Princess of Haoling, but Yu Zhang paid no attention to her and prepared to attack Chung Suend. Surprisingly, a masked woman appeared and saved them from the Fang family soldiers. When the soldiers were about to shoot arrows at Chung Suend, Xiao Yao bravely hugged him to shield him from harm. Meanwhile, Yu Zhang decided to chase after the masked woman. The woman eventually removed her mask, revealing herself as Jing Sao, Yu Zhang's elder sister. Jing Sao was furious with Yu Zhang for his reckless actions that could have led to the destruction of their clan. She believed there were better ways to seek revenge against Chung Suend. Yu Zhang explained that he had been ordered by Chung Suend's uncles to kill him and saw this as an opportunity for revenge. In the morning, Chung Suend woke up to a visit from King Xian. The king informed him that the Mount Xian region belonged to Chung Suend's grandmother, and the palace soldiers had been trained by her. As a result, King Xian presented Chung Suend with the general's plaque, granting him authority over the soldiers in the palace. Chung Suend revealed that he was aware that the previous night's attack on King Xian had been orchestrated by his uncles. Following this, Xiao Yao and Chung Suend visited the graves of their grandmother and Chung Suend's parents. Chung Suend expressed his intention to take Xiao Yao back to the Mountain of the Five Gods due to the danger posed by his uncles. However, Xiao Yao declined, as she wanted to remain in Xi'an Palace. To put it briefly, Chung Suend rose to become the main general of Xi'an country, which irked his uncles as they believed they should have taken the throne. Meanwhile, Xiao Yao visited a delivery service shop to send an antidote to King Xi's city. Coincidentally, Fang Bai was also there and approached Xiao Yao. Fang Bai was the mysterious soldier who had previously attempted to kill Chung Suend with an arrow. Xiao Yao knew about this and warned Fang Bai not to harm Chung Suend. However, Fang Bai explained that he had no personal grudge against Chung Suend and was merely following his uncle's orders. Fang Bai even offered to teach Xiao Yao archery. They went to a shooting range, and Fang Bai showed Xiao Yao the ropes, helping her practice by holding her hand from behind. Surprisingly, Xiao Yao managed to hit the target with her first try, which amazed him. Fang Bai explained that archery relies on technique rather than spiritual power, and Xiao Yao had a talent for it. After some practice, they went to a coffee shop in Xi'an City, where the owner complimented Xiao Yao's beauty, comparing her favorably to the women Fang Bai had brought there before. Xiao Yao playfully asked Fang Bai how many times he had visited the shop with other women. On the flip side, it can be seen that Sanjing was thinking about Xiao Yao. Before long, he received word from Xi'an City, revealing that Xiao Yao and Fang Bai were spending time together, dining and watching a show. This news worried Sanjing. On the other hand, Xiao Yao had been invited somewhere by Fang Bai. Upon entering the place, 2 masks were offered to them, which Fang Bai suggested they wear to conceal their identities. However, Xiao Yao declined, refusing to put on the mask. Fang Bai had invited Xiao Yao to witness a brutal fight between demon slaves and humans. The audience seemed to favor the humans, who continuously beat the demon slave. Just when it seemed the demon slave would die, he unexpectedly emerged victorious, even killing his opponent. Meanwhile, Sanjing had arrived in Xian country, accompanied by Fang Er. As Fang Er gazed out the window, she spotted her elder brother, Fang Bai, with Xiao Yao. Fang Er immediately ordered the horse-drawn carriage to halt, as the two approached Fang Bai and Xiao Yao. Sanjing, riding with Fang Er, also expressed surprise upon seeing Xiao Yao with Fang Bai. He offered them a ride in his carriage, but Xiao Yao insisted that Fang Bai not join them. This saddened Sanjing, who had come to Xian country to meet Xiao Yao, but she misunderstood his intentions and paid no heed to him. The following morning, Xiao Yao was spotted practicing archery in front of the palace. Before long, King Xian approached her and noticed her injured hand due to her archery practice. He suggested her to wear gloves to protect her hands, as a woman's hands should stay soft. However, Xiao Yao explained that their goals were different. She learned archery for combat, not just for fun. King Xian then advised Xiao Yao to find a suitable man to marry, promising his approval as long as he lived. He encouraged her to choose freely. Xiao Yao, in response, challenged King Xian by asking if she could marry a man who was already involved with another woman or an enemy of King Xian. She implied that such men wouldn't truly belong to her. In the evening, Sanjing returned to the central plains of China, but was suddenly ambushed by a group of black-clad bandits who engaged in a fierce battle with his soldiers. One of the bandits managed to pierce his chest with a spear. Upon hearing this news, Cheng Su-end promptly informed Xiao Yao, and they rushed to the central plains of China. To their relief, they found Sanjing unharmed, and the injured one was just a magical imitation of him. Xiao Yao then requested some private time with Sanjing, and Cheng Su-end agreed. Xiao Yao admitted that she hadn't met with Sanjing, not because she had someone else in her heart, but because she felt it was inappropriate since Sanjing was in a relationship with Fang Er. However, Sanjing embraced Xiao Yao from behind and assured her of his enduring love. Meanwhile, Shangluo walked alone and soon found himself surrounded by a group of bandits. He easily faced them alone. The following day, Xiao Yao was at the Shenrong residence, learning to play the zither, while Sanjing was painting. Sanjing mentioned that it was New Year's Eve, but he couldn't stay with her as he needed to go to Kingzi City to pray to his ancestors. As New Year's Eve arrived, people across the land celebrated in their homes. On the other hand, Mu Fei went to the residence of the 5th and 7th ministers of the Xian state, who happened to be Cheng Su-end's uncles. Mu Fei shared information about Xiao Yao being in Shenrong City, as per Cheng Su-end's instructions through Feng Long. Cheng Su-end's uncles were annoyed that Xiao Yao had not returned to Hauling and was instead in their enemy's territory. The following morning, Sin Hio took Xiao Yao to the cherry blossom forest to meet her sisters. They had a playful snowball fight in the forest. However, when Xiao Yao walked alone, she sensed someone following her. Soon, tree roots attacked her, causing her pain and injuring her leg. Xiao Yao challenged the attacker to reveal themselves if they intended to kill her. Two wolves then approached and attacked her. Xiao Yao defended herself, using poison against one of the wolves and sticking a knife into the other's mouth. She called out to the attacker to show themselves. Surprisingly, the person behind the attack was Mu Fei. Xiao Yao questioned why Mu Fei wanted to kill her, as they had never met before. Mu Fei explained that Xiao Yao's family had supposedly massacred his own. However, Xiao Yao denied these accusations, stating that her family had never killed anyone, let alone massacred another family. Mu Fei disregarded Xiao Yao's response, using his spiritual energy to bind her and threatening her with a knife. Mu Fei claimed that Xiao Yao's blood would be offered as atonement for his family's alleged crimes. Xiao Yao insisted once again that Mu Fei had targeted the wrong person. Meanwhile, Shangluo felt pain and went in search of Xiao Yao. Cheng Su-end also experienced a sudden, intense heartache. He called for his troops to protect Xiao Yao, even though they initially thought he was overly worried. However, Xiao Yao was safe at the Shenrong residence, and no one dared to disturb her there. However, Cheng Su-end was determined to head to Ji City in the Shenrong region immediately. Back at the Fang family's house, Sanjing was alarmed when he saw an ominous sign related to Xiao Yao and felt a sense of foreboding. He hurriedly went to search for her. A while later, Chung Su-end arrived at the Shenrong residence, where Sin Hyo informed him that Xiao Yao had suddenly vanished from the forest. Concerned, Chung Su-end and Sin Hyo started searching for her. Meanwhile, Sanjing discovered that his servant, responsible for keeping an eye on Xiao Yao, had been killed. He unleashed his spiritual energy to locate Xiao Yao's whereabouts and eventually found her lifeless body. Sanjing channeled all of his spiritual energy to revive her and deeply regretted leaving her alone, fearing such a tragedy might occur. Surprisingly, the cherry blossom forest ignited itself in flames, but Sanjing chose to stay there with Xiao Yao. On the other hand, as Chung Su-end observed the forest engulfed in flames, he believed Xiao Yao might still be trapped inside and wanted to enter. However, his troops prevented him, recognizing the danger of doing so. Not long after, they managed to put out the fire, but it had left Sanjing's face and hands badly burned. The troops under Chung Su-end's command found them and couldn't bring themselves to release Sanjing's hands, which still clung tightly to Xiao Yao. Some time later, Chung Su-end regained consciousness, and his soldiers knelt down to inform him that they had rescued Xiao Yao. Relieved, Chung Su-end asked when Xiao Yao would wake up as he saw her lying down. However, the doctor delivered the devastating news that Xiao Yao had passed away due to the severity of her injuries, which filled Chung Su-end with anger and disbelief. He immediately ordered his troops to search for the best healer and medicine. Meanwhile, the light egg within Shangluo started to emerge gradually, causing him intense pain. He urged his eagle to fly faster. Simultaneously, Chung Su-end noticed that the light egg inside Xiao Yao was also emerging. He instructed his troops to channel their spiritual energy into her and spoke to her about planting numerous cherry blossom trees in Xian country and making her a swing. He reminded Xiao Yao of their promise to never part ways and always be together. Meanwhile, Shangluo, unable to bear the pain any longer, unleashed his spiritual energy in a desperate bid to survive. However, this effort caused him to vomit blood. Sometime later, Chung Su-end felt Xiao Yao's hand beginning to warm up, giving him a glimmer of hope. He instructed his troops to summon those with strong spiritual energy to share it with Xiao Yao in a collective effort. Before long, Sin Hyo arrived with the best healer from the Central Plains of China, whom she had intentionally brought to treat Xiao Yao. The two doctors examined Xiao Yao, but eventually knelt down and apologized, admitting their inability to treat her. Sin Hyo blamed herself, thinking it was her invitation to the cherry blossom forest that led to Xiao Yao's condition. Chung Su-end tried to console Sin Hyo, believing that Xiao Yao's assailant had plotted this and that she shouldn't blame herself. Despite this, Sin Hyo remained determined to uncover the identity of the murderer. She bid farewell and headed home. On the way, her maid asked if Xiao Yao was truly gone. The doctors explained that while Xiao Yao no longer had a heartbeat or pulse, there was still a trace of vitality in her vital organs. Xiao Yao's body could hang on due to a flow of spiritual energy sustaining her. However, if the spiritual energy ceased, her vital organs would also perish. Meanwhile, Shangluo had arrived in Shenrong country and forcefully breached the regional wall, setting off an alarm bell that put Chung Su-end and his troops on high alert. Soon, the guards reported to Chung Su-end that an intruder had entered the Shenrong Palace area with sinister intentions. Chung Su-end suspected a connection to Xiao Yao and decided to confront this person. When Chung Su-end laid eyes on Shangluo, he initially believed Shangluo had come to harm Xiao Yao. However, Shangluo clarified that he had no intention of harming anyone, but had arrived to assist his old friend from Kingxi City, Xiao Yao. Despite this, Chung Su-end brandished his sword, threatening Shangluo. Chung Su-end revealed that he had kept Xiao Yao's death a secret, making it unlikely that Shangluo knew about it unless he was the one responsible. Shangluo then disclosed that when Xiao Yao attempted to transfer the light egg from Chung Su-end's body, she had moved it into Shangluo's body. This had caused him immense pain, and he believed he would meet the same fate as Xiao Yao. Learning this, Chung Su-end invited Shangluo inside, and Shangluo looked deeply saddened upon hearing about Xiao Yao's condition. Shangluo immediately released his spiritual energy to assess Xiao Yao's condition and explained that Cheng Suend was fortunate to have ordered people to channel spiritual energy into her, giving her a slim chance of survival. Cheng Suend inquired about the time it would take for Shangluo to save Xiao Yao. Shangluo admitted that he couldn't predict precisely, as it could take anywhere from a year to even a dozen years. Eventually, Cheng Suend agreed to let Shangluo take Xiao Yao. To avoid arousing suspicion, Cheng Suend used a fake magic doll made to resemble Xiao Yao. Later, soldiers reported the gruesome details of Xiao Yao's murder. They explained that her hands and feet had been pierced by sharp swords 3 times, with several sword attacks penetrating her body, indicating a cruel and planned act of revenge. Cheng Suend then inquired about Sanjing's condition and learned that his injuries were not severe. In the evening, Feng Long informed Cheng Suend that he had sent a letter to the Xian family's lady, explaining the situation to prevent them from blaming him. Meanwhile, Jinny was taking care of Sanjing, but remained puzzled about why he had sacrificed himself to protect Xiao Yao. As time went by, Shangluo continued to share his spiritual energy with Xiao Yao. He went to great lengths, even donating his own blood to help Xiao Yao recover. After thorough investigation, they finally identified the culprit, and Mu Fei was apprehended and subjected to torture. Soon, Cheng Suend and Feng Long visited Mu Fei in captivity. Despite the brutal torture, Mu Fei remained tight-lipped about those who aided him. Cheng Suend approached him and offered forgiveness in exchange for information about who had ordered Xiao Yao's murder. Mu Fei, however, insisted that he acted alone in killing Xiao Yao, so Cheng Suend granted him more time to explain his motive. That night, Cheng Suend had a nightmare about Xiao Yao, which startled him awake. Shortly after, his bodyguards informed him that Mu Fei wished to meet him and asked Feng Long to join them. Mu Fei then revealed the reason for killing Xiao Yao. He confessed that Xiao Yao wasn't the first princess of Howling, but was, in fact, the demon princess of Sison. Cheng Suend found this hard to believe, but Mu Fei explained that he had seen something sinister in Xiao Yao's eyes. Mu Fei's suspicions were further validated by the 5th and 7th ministers, uncles of Cheng Suend and Xiao Yao in Xian country. Mu Fei claimed he couldn't forget the form of the Sison devil that had destroyed his family, and when he saw Princess Xiao Yao, her appearance closely resembled that of the Sison devil. Mu Fei inquired about the rumors suggesting that King Xian's daughter had a special connection with the demon Sison. He acknowledged that these rumors had been circulating even before Xiao Yao's mother married King Holing. Still, Mu Fei remained convinced that Xiao Yao was, in fact, the Sison devil princess. Upon hearing Mu Fei's confession, Cheng Suend firmly refuted the accusations. He explained that King Holing had been searching for Xiao Yao for centuries, and Feng Long shared the same belief. Feng Long pointed out that if Xiao Yao weren't King Holing's daughter, why would there have been a grand celebration in her honor upon her return to Holing? Mu Fei, upon hearing this explanation, began to doubt himself and wondered if he had killed the wrong person. Subsequently, Cheng Suend went to a cliff to collect his thoughts, reflecting on Mu Fei's words about Xiao Yao's mother's special connection with the demon Sison, a secret that, if discovered by King Holing, would lead to his death. On the other hand, Shangluo, exhausted from his efforts to revive Xiao Yao, woke up and noticed blood on her clothes. He took off his robe to change Xiao Yao's clothes. As Shangluo left her side, Xiao Yao's spirit suddenly emerged from her body, recalling the traumatic events that led to her death. Long story short, Cheng Suend, Feng Long, and Xin Hio finally identified the 4 individuals responsible for Xiao Yao's murder. Cheng Suend met with the doll resembling Xiao Yao and claimed to have avenged her death. When he held the doll's hand, he asked his bodyguard to bring a thicker blanket as the doll's hand felt very cold. The bodyguard reminded Cheng Suend that it was just a doll. Meanwhile, Xiao Yao daydreamed about Sanjing's situation. When Shangluo returned, Xiao Yao called out to him, but Shangluo couldn't hear because Xiao Yao was in spirit form. Shangluo then used his own blood to channel his spiritual energy into Xiao Yao, but this effort left him unconscious due to exhaustion. In another place, the ministers of the Xian state met with King Xian and presented a letter from the Mu clan, seeking forgiveness for Mu Fi's actions as he was the last descendant of their clan. King Xian informed them that Xiao Yao was also the last descendant of his late daughter, and yet Mu Fei had killed her. Therefore, King Xian intended to punish Mu Fei as the primary suspect in Xiao Yao's murder. On another note, King Holing received the news of Xiao Yao's death. He instructed Ru Hou to arrange for Xiao Yao's return. However, Ru Hou explained that Cheng Suend had found someone who could potentially revive Xiao Yao, so King Holing agreed to let Xiao Yao stay temporarily in the central plains of China. Meanwhile, Cheng Suend began fulfilling his promise to Xiao Yao by planting cherry trees. He received a message from Shangluo, who informed him that Xiao Yao was still unconscious, but that he was doing everything he could to save her. Cheng Suend instructed his bodyguards to monitor Sanjing's progress since he was also unconscious, similar to Xiao Yao. In the evening, Yu Jiang sneaked into Cheng Suend's room with a knife, attempting to harm him while he slept. However, a net suddenly descended from above, capturing Yu Jiang. At that moment, the real Cheng Suend appeared, surprising Yu Jiang. Cheng Suend, who had appeared to be sleeping, turned out to be a magic doll. He was impressed by Yu Jiang's ability to elude the guards. Cheng Suend ordered his bodyguards to release Yu Jiang and let him go. However, Yu Jiang threatened that he would eventually succeed in killing Cheng Suend. In response, Cheng Suend cautioned him to be careful and not underestimate him. As Yu Jiang was about to leave, he suddenly launched an attack on Cheng Suend, but Cheng Suend skillfully defended himself. Ultimately, Cheng Suend managed to capture Yu Jiang again and tied him up. Cheng Suend then frightened Yu Jiang by showing him various sharp weapons. Cheng Suend revealed that 200 years ago, the leader of Ji City had personally designed these punishment devices and had inflicted cruelty on many innocent people before dying in prison. This leader was Yu Quan, Yu Jiang's elder brother, and King Xiun had tasked Xiao Yao with killing him. Cheng Suend emphasized that he had no regrets about Yu Quan's death because he was a heartless official who had caused the suffering and deaths of countless people through torture and neglect. This revelation shocked Yu Jiang, as he had just learned of his brother's extreme cruelty. 37 years had passed, and Xiao Yao had not yet been revived. Cheng Suend continued to ponder Xiao Yao's situation, uncertain when she would return to life. The cherry blossom tree he had planted on Mount Chenrong had grown significantly, and he wished for Xiao Yao to witness it. Meanwhile, Sanjing remained unconscious, and Jingyi cared for her while grieving for her master's condition. On the other hand, Xiao Yao, who had come back to life, began searching for Shangluo, but he was nowhere to be found. Shortly after, Shangluo's eagle arrived with a message for Xiao Yao, stating that Shangluo didn't wish to meet her and had come to take her back to Chenrong Mountain. Hearing this, Xiao Yao, who had initially been elated about being alive again, became sad and shed tears because the person who had saved her didn't want to see her. After leaving that place, Shangluo appeared and collected Xiao Yao's tears. Meanwhile, Cheng Suend received a message from Shangluo that Xiao Yao was alive again and would arrive at the palace in the next few hours. Cheng Suend smiled and instructed his guards to inform the Chenrong Gate guards that Princess Holing would be returning. In short, Xiao Yao arrived at Chenrong's residence, where Xin Hio immediately embraced her with gratitude for her return. Xin Hio also informed Xiao Yao that Sanjing was currently in a coma, which surprised her. Meanwhile, the doctor told Jingyi that Sanjing had passed away, leading to tears from Jingyi. At the same time, Xiao Yao reached the location and Jingyi pleaded with him to help Sanjing. Jingyi explained that Sanjing had found Xiao Yao, but had chosen to die in the burning cherry blossom forest, refusing to leave the lifeless Xiao Yao's side. Following that, Xiao Yao asked the doctor for some medicine and mixed it with her blood, which had the power to cure all diseases. On the other hand, Cheng Suend had learned that Xiao Yao was at Sanjing's residence and rushed there immediately. When he arrived, he found Xiao Yao sleeping, exhausted from her ordeal. Cheng Suend couldn't hold back his tears of joy, knowing that Xiao Yao had come back to life. Shortly after, Cheng Suend informed King Xian that Xiao Yao was alive again. Upon hearing this news, King Xian ordered the release of the individuals who had previously been involved in Xiao Yao's death. Cheng Suend also sent a message to King Holing, who was overjoyed and instructed Ruho to ensure that nutritious food was sent to Chenrong's residence for Xiao Yao's recovery. A few days later, Xiao Yao continued to take care of Sanjing by combing his hair and singing to him. Eventually, Sanjing regained consciousness and warmly embraced Xiao Yao. Afterward, Sanjing met with Cheng Suend and Sin Hio. Feng Long, who had just arrived, joyfully embraced Sanjing. Sanjing expressed his gratitude to Feng Long for looking after him during his time of need. The following day, Sanjing visited the Suan family residence to see her grandmother, Sanchai, and discuss canceling her marriage to Feng Er. Meanwhile, Cheng Suend took Xiao Yao to the cherry tree garden he had planted on the peak of Mount Chenrong. Xiao Yao was thrilled to be in a place that reminded him of the one on Mount Xian. On the other hand, Sanjing, who hadn't returned to the Suan clan in many years, asked Sanchai to annul her engagement to Feng Er. She explained her intention to marry Xiao Yao, who was King Holing's daughter. Sanjing added that if Sanchai disapproved, he would leave the Suan clan forever. Hearing this, Sanchai was taken aback. She explained that their clan was under the protection of Chenrong country, making it impossible for Sanjing to marry into an enemy country. The following day, Sanchai devised a plan to keep Sanjing from leaving the Suan clan. She gathered her grandchildren and declared that Sanjing would be the next leader of the Suan clan. Hearing this, Ranjing, who deeply resented Sanjing, was shocked and protested, believing that he should be the next leader of the Suan clan. Sanjing, not desiring the position, agreed to Ranjing's request. Unexpectedly, Sanchai suddenly coughed up blood and revealed that she only had a few days left to live. Faced with a difficult choice between Xiao Yao and his grandmother, Sanjing eventually agreed to Sanchai's request to become the next leader of the Suan clan. In short, the day of the ceremony to appoint Sanjing as the head of the Suan clan arrived, and the guests had gathered in the courtyard of the Suan clan palace to witness the event. After the inauguration, Xiao Yao met with Sanjing and embraced her. Sanjing then introduced Xiao Yao to Sanchai, hoping that Xiao Yao could cure her grandmother's illness. Xiao Yao introduced herself to Sanchai and attempted to treat her, but unfortunately, the medicine couldn't cure Sanchai's ailment. However, it could extend Sanchai's life, bringing her some happiness. Surprisingly, Feng Er, who was also present, felt dizzy and nauseous, prompting Xiao Yao to check on her. To everyone's astonishment, Feng Er was pregnant. She apologized to Sanchai for carrying Sanjing's child and asked for forgiveness. Upon learning this, Xiao Yao left the Suan clan palace with a sad but understanding smile. However, as Xiao Yao was about to depart, Sanjing confronted her and revealed the truth. He had consumed a drink given by Sanchai, which had restored his consciousness. When he woke up, he was surprised to find Feng Er in his room. Sanjing cried and apologized, but Xiao Yao assured him that she didn't hate him. However, Xiao Yao returned the fish jade that Sanjing had given her and told him that from now on, they would be strangers. Leaving Sanjing to lament his mistake, Xiao Yao left the Suan clan palace. When Xiao Yao returned home, Niang and Cheng Suend greeted her. Unexpectedly, Xiao Yao vomited blood and fainted. Cheng Suend immediately summoned a doctor to examine her. The doctor explained that Xiao Yao's heartbreak had caused her to put too much pressure on and injure her liver. He advised Xiao Yao to rest. In the middle of the night, Cheng Suend helped Xiao Yao take her medicine and advised her not to be sad, reassuring her that there were many men better than Sanjing. The next day, Xiao Yao visited Fang Bai to lift her spirits. She showed Fang Bai her new arrow and expressed her desire to try archery again. Surprisingly, Fang Bai revealed his true identity as Shangluo, a 9-headed demon capable of changing his appearance with 9 different faces. He had assumed the identity of Fang Bai after encountering the real Fang Bai, who was on the brink of death. The dying Fang Bai had requested Shangluo's help in looking after his chronically ill mother. Out of compassion, Shangluo agreed and took on Fang Bai's identity. He cared for Fang Bai's mother for many years until her passing. During this time, Shangluo experienced the joy of having a mother, something he had never known as a demon. Shangluo also recognized that he was not worthy of being with Xiao Yao, a goddess. As a result, he often left her and returned only when he missed her. In his heart, he yearned to be with Xiao Yao, but his demon instincts sometimes drove him to harm her. A few days later, while climbing the stairs, Xiao Yao reflected on her winding life journey. She recalled memories of her mother and Sanjing's promise to always be with her. These thoughts brought tears to her eyes. Shortly afterward, Chung Suend arrived, wrapped her in his robe, and carried her to a hilltop to enjoy the view. Once they reached the hilltop, Xiao Yao let out a stream of curses, feeling betrayed by Sanjing for not keeping his promise. She turned to Chung Suend and asked him to find a man for her. Chung Suend inquired about the kind of man Xiao Yao desired, to which she replied that she wanted someone to be her lifelong companion. Not long after, Xiao Yao and Chung Suend returned to Xian country. They attended the ceremony to appoint the new king of Xian. To everyone's surprise, King Xian announced that Chung Suend would be the next king. As King Xian departed, he encountered Xiao Yao dressed in a soldier's uniform. This unexpected sight puzzled him, and he asked for an explanation. Xiao Yao clarified that she had intentionally disguised herself to avoid drawing attention from her uncles. She also declared her readiness to use her archery skills to deal with any potential rebellion against Chung Suend's rule. King Xian chuckled, remarking that Xiao Yao bore a striking resemblance to her grandmother. The moral lesson from this story is, sometimes it's a good idea to keep who you really are a secret, especially if you want to compete with your uncles for the throne. And be careful with strangers who seem mysterious. They could end up hurting you emotionally.